Hello.
Hello, Ian. How does it feel to be talking to famous X.com user and video game historian
Famous.
Aaron D. Francis? How's it feel?
Man, I can't believe I get to be in your presence every week. Every week. I
So,
I know
if you
someone.
have any questions, feel free. I'm very famous now.
I am 1 degree away from Elon Musk
How
and
mad are you
Alex
about that?
Ohanian. It's crazy. No way. See, this is the thing. It's just like with Trump and everybody else. Everybody doesn't like these people until you're in the circle and they can do stuff for you.
That's
Then,
right.
right? I love Elon now. Now that
Yeah,
I'm one step
exactly. Big
away.
fan. Big
Big
fan.
fan. Big fan. You know what the government needs? They need a lot of help spots. They need help spots in every department. Every department in the government got email, right? That's not actually true, which is
It
what
was
makes this stuff silly.
so
But
it was
whatever. They
so
all have
easy to get
email.
Ian. It was so
You hooked me
easy.
in. All I need is what? A $50 million contract with the government with nice and cheap.
And
Way
you'll
cheap.
never tweet again.
Come on, Zendesk's not going to do it for $50 million. HelpSpot will do it for $50 million. We're going to save the taxpayer tons of money. Get me in there, Aaron. Get me
Oh
in there.
man, everybody has their price. Ian's
I
is
love
50
Doge.
million.
Doge me, baby.
Oh man, wild week, huh? How about
Yes.
that?
So maybe you should tell the people what happened.
Let's tell the people. So last week I tweeted a screenshot of Red Alert 2, and it was a very good tweet. It said the world you were born in no longer exists. Like, oh, devastating. Hits people right in the nostalgia. Great
Yeah.
tweet. So that tweet went crazy. Got at the time up to 1 million impressions.
Wow.
It goes further, but at the time that tweet on its own legs, a
Just
million
on its own.
impressions.
Yes.
The next day, and I don't want to say I caused this, but it is good for the brand if I actually did cause it, because that's pretty powerful. But so we'll just pretend because we're here. It's our show.
Sure.
So the next day, I caused Electronic Arts to open source the old source code for a bunch of Command and Conquer games, including something very adjacent to the one I tweeted, but not actually Red Alert 2. There's rumors that source code is lost. Who knows? But so the next day, they open source all the Command and Conquer source code. Huge deal. Everyone's like, whoa, this is crazy. This is C++ from the 90s. Like, Electronic Arts would never do something like this. This is so wild. And so then I quote tweeted my tweet from the day before and said something like, Electronic Arts just open sourced a bunch of the old source code. Who's going to make a modern remake? And that was just kind of a quote tweet of the one before that. That tweet got 1 million impressions also. So the original one is up to 2 million. This one gets 1 million.
No.
And I don't know why. Maybe it was just like in the zeitgeist, but this one got a lot more attention from famous people, including one Elon Musk, who replied to my tweet and said, "Cool, I played that."
That's crazy.
It's great content, sure, Elon, but the fact that he replied to my tweet, and the very first thing I did when I saw that he had replied is I went and I unmuted him, because I didn't know if I was gonna. I've been like, I have my very strict mute and mute list and filter list of words and everything. And so I don't ever see anything from him, which is how I like to live. Somebody replied to my tweet, and I saw that Elon was tagged. And I was like, this is weird. Who tagged Elon? Like, why did somebody tag Elon in this? This makes no sense at all. And I clicked through, and the tweet above that was, "This is from an account you've muted." And I was like, no way. And I clicked view, and there it was. I clicked through, and I was like, surely this is a parody account. Clicked through, and it was like, Elon Musk, 250 million followers. Like, oh no. Oh no. And what I didn't want was to catch his ire, because surely he's got some sort of like God view of like grievances or something. And I didn't want him to see like, hey, this user that you just replied to, they have that special badge that you asked for that shows when they've muted you, which I don't know if that's real or not, but I wouldn't put it past him.
I can see that, yeah.
And I was like, this is like, Twitter's kind of a big part of my livelihood, so let's go unmute the big boss just for a second while I'm on his radar, and then we can get back to regularly scheduled programming. So that was the big one.
You were inches away from not even knowing he tweeted at you. That's hysterical.
Inches away, because I had actually muted the thread. Like, I had muted the tweet itself, and of course I have him muted. And so I had just like clicked in to see kind of the activity of it, just like on a lark, and I saw that and I was like, oh man. And so yeah, I was freaking out.
So that's crazy. Elon, there you go. The internet's a crazy place. It's a small
It's a
world.
crazy place. Small world. Yeah. So now let's see. Like I said, I have muted it, so I haven't kept up with
It's
it.
kind
but
of funny because it's not, his reply isn't even kind of related to your tweet, but it's really related to your inner tweet, I guess.
It
more
is.
so,
Yes.
right? Like,
yes.
but
And I think that's what helped the second tweet do so well was
Yeah.
it still had the power of like the nostalgia of that first
did
tweet.
you get a lot of crazies? Any crazies show up?
I got a few because I said, who's going to be the first to do a modern remake? Can AI do it? And I got a few game developers that were just like seething mad that I suggested that AI might help them develop a game. Like, guys, this thing is helpful. Like, let's use what's helpful. So 948,000 on the quote tweet and 2 million on the original tweet. That's my highest performing tweet ever, for sure.
So, okay, I wanted to have a conversation with you about this.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a tangent off this. I feel like though, like even your own follower count, right?
Yep.
Like I think when we started the podcast, you had like 42,000 or 40,000 or something like that. I don't know. It was in that range, right? And now what are you at? Like 47 or 48 or something?
Almost 48. Almost 48.
Okay. Don't you feel like the power of the like big tweet is kind of gone? Like it still gives you the juice, not you, everybody, right? Like you get the juice of like, oh, it's 1 million views or 2 million views or whatever. But I don't know. I don't feel like it translates into followers so well.
I don't know if I agree with that. So the past week, I've probably gotten 700 or 800 followers.
Okay.
In the
but
past
that's with
week.
a tweet from Elon. Like literally Elon tweeted at you.
So a few things.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a few things. It's very the tweets that go. So I've had, I think, 2 tweets go over 1 million. One was a little joke about getting laid off and how much Cobra, the health insurance continuation program, how much that costs. That one did over 1 million, and then this Red Alert one did 2. And they're not related to what I tweet about or what I do every day, you know? And so from that point of view, there's a very tenuous connection between viral tweet and followers, because somebody that sees a Red Alert 2 tweet then kind of has to click through and be like, oh, this guy is also in tech like I'm in tech. And that's already, you've lost, 95% of the people.
Sure.
And then they have to say like, yeah, I want to follow this guy. So I think, going viral for content that is like poppy and not like related to your main shtick is probably not extremely helpful. But it's still helpful. I still, almost probably got 1,000 followers that week, which is still a lot to me. The other thing is, I think it can be incredibly valuable, maybe on a smaller scale. So I have a friend who replied to one of Bill Ackman's tweets. The investor, I don't know what he does, investor guy. So Bill Ackman, tweeted this kind of like pseudo conspiracy theory about like, hey, this Black Hawk ran into this airplane. Doesn't this look planned? Can anyone describe this to me? Like classic billionaire bait. Like, well, I don't know. Many people are saying, come on, dummy. And my friend is an actual former Black Hawk, pilot. So he's flew combat missions and is now out, and he like knows actually what's going on. And so he replied to Bill Ackman and was like, sure, like former Black Hawk pilot here, I can describe like the situation, and wrote, like 1,000 words of very nuanced and considered stuff. And that tweet got, as a reply to Bill Ackman, got like 6 million impressions. And he went from like 1,000 to like 5,000 or 6,000 followers. And so whether those are valuable or not, or they're just like, I like this guy's take on Black Hawk helicopters, who knows? Still pretty good. And then you got me on a hot topic. I got another one on the other side. Here's on the other side.
Okay.
There's a guy named Isaac French who lives here in Texas. I'm friends with his brother, but Isaac has blown up on Twitter recently, and he's doing the old school like thread style, but it's not like, hey, I read a Wikipedia article, let me tell you 10 things you didn't know about Churchill. And he's also not like, hey, 10 ChatGPT extensions. He is in the short-term rental space, and he is basically highlighting interesting and unique short-term rentals where it's like, hey, we bought an old railroad car and turned it into an Airbnb. But he will like go on site, take pictures, talk to the people, and he does these big threads. And some of these threads will do like 5 or 10 million views, and he'll get, and it's very relevant to his audience. And so he'll get, 5,000 followers from a thread or something like that. So it's still doable. I think it's still random. And in my case, the content and the audience just doesn't really match my audience terribly much, but it's still worth it.
That's
Is that more than you bargained for, Ian?
There we go.
Ah!
Well, that last guy, he's going the extra mile, right? Like he's doing it right. The work, right? Like he's like, I'm out there and I'm taking a photo. You haven't seen this photo. I didn't grab this photo off Wikipedia and throw it on here. Like I'm creating original works, and then I'm,
yes, exactly,
doing it all right then. So that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there could also be like algorithmic play. Like, does it help you when who knows how the algorithm works, right? Okay, yeah, so.
It does. When you have a breakout hit, you get a little bonus on your next ones. I have 100% felt it. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you got to leverage that here.
I do. So bonus, when it comes to, that one's already gone. But when it comes to launches, like we're preparing a big course launch or something, I'm very careful in like the days leading up to it, like what I'm tweeting.
I love all this voodoo. It's like all this oral history passed down from generation to generation.
That's right. And you got to put peanut butter on the bottom of your feet before you tweet just to make sure, So it's like, especially on the day of a launch, radio silence until I put out my launch tweet. Like no replies, no main timeline tweets. And then once I put out my launch tweet, radio silence on main tweets until I've let that one run. I will reply to people. But I see people that like do a big launch tweet and then immediately turn around and they're like tweeting about their sandwich. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like give the good one some time to breathe. So yeah, there's a lot of voodoo there.
Interesting. All right. Well, so Elon tweeted at you. That was wild.
Alexis Ohanian, founder of Reddit, quote tweeted it. Husband to famous Serena Williams. That's probably what he's best known for.
I like Alex Ohanian way more than I like Reddit.
Yeah, he seems like a really good.
He seems like a good normal-ish guy.
Yeah, he seems like a totally normal guy now.
Yeah, I'm good with him.
I saw him tweet something the other day about like breaking taboos about dads and tech or something, and I was like, hey, cool. Great, good for you, man. That's awesome. Way to be like a normal guy. And then anytime you see him in the stands at one of Serena Williams' matches, he's always just like beaming and like just wearing a shirt that's like, I love Serena or something like that. And I'm like, that's the kind of energy I'm here for. So he seems great. And then another person that I have muted, I'm a fan of this person, but I've definitely muted them on Twitter, is Sean Puri, the My First Million co-host.
Okay,
I like him. I listen to all of their podcasts, but I just can't stand his Twitter. It's like very it's very optimized. Yeah, it's very like 10 things you didn't know about Warren Buffett's annual letters, and I'm like, I don't care about that. But he responded and said something. I don't know what he said, but it was another one I almost missed because I have him muted. So you gotta be careful with these mutes, man. Yeah, you can't mute the wrong people.
I think you need to do the sequel to Red Alert. We got the code. So Red Alert 1 is in the code dump. So we have Red Alert 1. We have AI, right? You get in there and do us up a prototype version 3 Red Alert.
Okay. I feel like I just had like an aneurysm. Did you tell me to do something else? Like to go far afield and do something crazy?
I need you in there with Elon.
Are you being a pre-yes man? I didn't even come up with the idea and you're telling me to do it?
Listen, I want us doing a podcast from Elon's private jet where we're like, listen, we're working on Grok with you, me, and Grok are on doing Red Alert 3.
I don't want to be on any billionaire's private jet. We can meet them in a public place, but yeah, that sounds fine.
Maybe you can watch him make child 15 and 16 along the way.
I don't want
real
any part
time
of that.
updates.
This Elon flip is amazing to me. We won you over on DHH because he's so reasonable
I'm
now.
off of DHH again. No, DHH is back on the bottom.
He's so reasonable. No. And now you're like a big Elon fan. You like surpassed me. I live in this comfortable middle place where I have neither friends nor enemies with billionaires, and you're just flip flopping. You're all over the place.
No, I still don't like Elon. Don't get it twisted.
I'm not gonna rebuild. I'm not gonna rebuild.
No,
I don't have. Okay, so if I was, I think we might have talked about this at one point. When I get super rich, what am I gonna do? Right. That's the kind of thing that I would do. I would 100% dedicate 6 working months or a year of working days to rebuilding Red Alert on stream, just because it is fun. But I can't justify that.
We're going to justify it right now. Okay. All right. So Red Alert 3, right? That's a humongous undertaking. The Red Alert 1 code is probably not that particularly useful to it, really, in the end, right? But here's what we do. We take the Red Alert 1 code, right?
The lead up is killing me.
Right?
This has got to be going somewhere good.
This is going to be great. But it's a web development ecosystem game. Okay. And so you reskin with some logic changes, but it's like the JavaScript people are building their fortresses over there, right? We're building our Laravel fortress. Like the top tier thing is a Taylor Otwell, right? That you could send over and destroy the other fortresses, right? You can like create your Laravel news zone and like send out disinformation to the other groups to win them over. You collect the resources via your tweets, and you could run a conference, right? Like that kind of thing. So it's like
instead of remaking a game for which the source code is available, I'm just making a brand new game.
No, it's you use that source code, right? But you reskin it, and obviously there'll be some logic tweaks, but you can use most of the source code because we don't care. We don't need better like blasting. Like the skin is the thing.
The novelty is the cohorts.
I want to play Taylor Otwell, right? I want to drop in an Adam Wathan who could be a wild card, right? Because he can go in any camp.
That's
like
the
CSS
true
thing, right?
He's a free agent.
Whoever gets the first Wathan, they just show up, right? Somebody has to develop the Wathan first. So like that kind of thing. That'd be cool. And you can be streaming that, right?
That'd be
People
cool.
would love that. It ties in.
Yeah, you haven't yet mentioned how to make money off of that because
what do you care about that? You don't care about that.
I've never cared about that.
That's why you're the perfect person.
Steve is listening. Steve cares about that. But here's the thing. I've never done game development in my life. Except
you never did terminal development in your life.
That's true. I did create Snake in Microsoft Excel when I was working at the accounting firm.
So it was great. It was great.
A game. Actually in the cells with the key controls, and it would fly around the cells eating apples.
That's crazy.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was before AI too, so you actually like.
Oh yeah, I actually had to raw dog the VBA. I had to open like workbook.xlsm or whatever it was. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not remaking the game. I know. I'm sorry. I know. It'd be fun. I would love that, and I would love for someone to do it. Everybody's like, OpenRA already exists, and I'm like, yeah, I want Red Alert 2 though. Red Alert 2.
The Red Alert people. I played Red Alert. I wasn't like a super Red Alert guy, but the Red Alert 2 people are very into like this is the thing.
It was
Red
like
Alert 2 is the pinnacle or something.
It's like how some millennials still have like Harry Potter stickers on their cars or something. Like my other car is a Nimbus 2000, and I'm like, that's kind of embarrassing, my friend. That's kind of how I feel about Red Alert 2. It's like there's a deep part of me that still feels like I'm a kid and I could go play Red Alert 2 right now. So that's my millennial cringe instead of like Deathly Hallows stickers on my car. I think it was like 2000. It was 2000 even?
Yeah,
that's about right.
So that's why. That's like I just got out of college. I was busy doing other stuff.
Yeah, and I missed
the Red Alert too. Yeah, you were in the sweet spot there.
It was perfect. Yeah, I was 11. My brother was 13. I don't think I had the original Red Alert. I think Red Alert 2 was my entry point into the Command and Conquer franchise, and it's just glory days.
Good old days. All right.
Man.
Well, you're Twitter famous now.
I'm Twitter famous.
Very cool.
Feels good. All right, we've got a good tweet here from Jesse Hanley. I want to get a business dad take on. So let's do a little business dad. But before that, this podcast is brought to you by one Jesse Hanley of Bento. BentoNow.com is marketing automation and email platform, and we use that at TryHard Studios. So if you need an email platform, check out BentoNow.com. Thanks to Bento for sponsoring, and brought to you by PHP Tech 2025. PHP Tech is the conference for continuing education and community building for PHP developers. It is May 20th to 22nd in Chicago, so check out phptech.io. All right, business dad tweet.
Yes.
Did you see this tweet when it came out? I'll read it for the audience,
yes.
but did you see it when it came out?
I don't know if I saw it right the moment it came out, but I did see it, yes.
Okay, so Jesse, friend of the show, tweeted something about it's so fun to listen to mostly technical ads because, by the way, Jesse didn't give us anything to say. So if you're going to buy ads on the show, give us something to say. But Jesse's like, say whatever you want. It's a risky business. And somebody responded and said, I'm curious, do you get good traffic from that? And Jesse, being the mensch that he is, did a whole tweet and gave a great lesson on marketing, and I wanted Business Dad's take on it. So here's what Jesse says. Very hard to find SaaS growth, especially in my category, thinking of advertising like this, good sources versus bad sources. So his category is obviously email. Engineers rarely buy ad spots because everything needs to be trackable and have a positive ROI. Unfortunately, it takes a large amount of consistent propaganda in the form of tweets, ads, interviews, involvement, etc., compounds over 12 to 18 months. People need to be reminded that Bento exists, so when the day comes, they think about us over the competitors. It's the aggregate of all this activity that creates growth. Just buying an ad spot on a podcast will likely do nothing unless it's our podcast. It needs a lot of additional support to get it to convert and be beneficial. TLDR, know your audience, figure out ways to remind them of your existence, and price in a way that only 1 or 2 conversions over a long time period make it all work out for your business. So my TLDR is, it's hard to track things. Jesse wants to be top of mind. What was your business dad takeaway on that?
I think it's right. I mean, he's basically just talking about brand advertising, right? Which is like what you see all over the place with big companies. Like there's Coke ads everywhere. Not because like when you see the Coke ad, you're going to go buy a Coke at that moment, but it's because when you're in the grocery store and you on that aisle and it's the Pepsi and the Coke, and you've seen 4,000 Coke ads, right? You're like, oh, Coke, yeah, that's what I drink, and you just get the Coke, right? So. But I think the thing, his kind of point, right, too, is that like, well, I think I don't know if he didn't say this exactly right, but I think to me the idea is like as a bootstrapper size company, oftentimes brand advertising isn't considered very much because it's like, yeah, I can't advertise on the Super Bowl, I can't advertise in newspaper, like I don't have the budget to do brand advertising. So I think kind of the interesting nugget that I take away from this is the idea of like, even a small company can brand advertise, but you just have to be really dialed in on like who your market is and where they go hang out, right? So like this podcast, right? Like he's in the circles of people who listen to this podcast, like Laravel developers, and I assume maybe the Rails world a bit too. I don't, because I think it might be a Rails app. I'm pretty sure
it's a Rails app. He's a Rails guy. Matt Swanson listens to the show. He's a Rails developer. So come on, we got Rails people in the audience. We got some Rails
people, right? So it's like that world. And it's like, how do you reach those people? Like, okay, you could tweet, so he does that, right? But then, like, how do you find other places? And there's only so many other places where it really makes sense, and you have to find those. Because even if you get up to like the bigger podcasts, like they're going to be too much money, and they're more general, right? Like if you just try to get on the general tech podcast, like now you're hitting a whole bunch of, you're going to pay $5,000 for that for one spot. You're reaching like 98% of the audience doesn't even care about you. Like that's going to be really money losing. So in his case here, it's like he's hitting a large percentage of this audience is a potentially good customer for him at some point. So that's his point to this tweet, right? Is like they keep hearing about Bento, and eventually when they need something like that, they remember Bento.
What was your feeling on the engineers love for things to be trackable, but you got to get over that?
Yeah, I think you got to get over that. I think here, I mean, this is like the whole thing of the internet, like in the last 5 years, is like it's actually all kind of bullshit. Like you kind of
Mhm.
can't track things that well. Now you could have like direct affiliate tracking and stuff like that, although even that isn't like 100%. But this, like in terms of advertising, like everything's moving away from direct tracking. Like once
Mhm.
Apple killed like the whatever tracking thing they changed with their
Mhm.
iOS apps, everybody's gone away from tracking, and they're like algorithmically estimating now.
Yeah.
So um but part of it is because of Apple, but part of it is just because it never really worked that well, and people were missing a lot of value by pretending that they should only advertise places that they could track to the
Mhm.
dollar, but then that wasn't actually that effective because there's so much other stuff you can't track very easily. And so people are kind of just going back more to brand advertising and things like that. So yeah, I definitely think trying to just only do things that are trackable is a fool's errand for the most part. Again,
I
like
think Google originally killed a lot of the trackability with their not provided thing. Like, because didn't they at one point, many,
for
many years ago,
refers,
yeah, change it to
yeah,
not provided? It was
mhm.
like some privacy thing. And then
Yeah, so
Apple's Ask app not to track. Is that what you're talking about? Where it's like you can basically hide yourself from the trackers on Apple?
yeah, it's even deeper than that. Like you basically just can't even really track it all. Like Facebook used to be able to like just pay people to insert tracking code in all these
Right.
apps and like just literally track everywhere. And now you can't even. I think even with that
They
permission thing,
removed
you
like
still
access to
can't
the
even do that.
fingerprint. That's
Yeah,
right.
the fingerprint stuff. So that's really the thing that killed that. And then the Google stuff, yeah, the earlier Google stuff was more like that did and didn't hurt it, but it's like that hurt like SEO and stuff like that a fair amount because you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't now directly attribute
What people
keywords and
searched
things like
for that
that. Yeah,
brought you to,
you don't get
yeah.
that anymore. Now you get it in aggregate because you can go to the web console
Mm-hmm.
and see like in aggregate what terms are searching because Google collects it and gives you that. But you're still not then able to like connect it to like, oh, well, this blog post I did over here
Right.
led to X number. Like yeah, between the referral mess ups and the keyword from the searches mess ups, um, it's kind of all shot. So I mean, it's obviously some stuff trackable, but I still think yes, like he's saying, I think branding can be important. I've never done a ton of brand stuff myself, I have to say, with HelpSpot, but yeah. So I think he's got when you're selling to devs, the upside of devs is they're on the internet and you can find them, right? Like
Yes.
this is the upside of that. There's downsides of selling to devs. But one
That
of the
may be the
upsides,
only upside, in
it's
fact.
one of the biggest upsides is that they are available. It's not that hard to figure out where they are, and you can be where they are
Yep.
fairly easily. Whereas, like when you're trying to find, like in my case, right, you're trying to find the support manager at manufacturing company. Well, like there's not the like such a clear cut. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on Facebook, sort of, but they don't necessarily. Their
But
Facebook
only
time
to
isn't work
consume AI
time.
slap
Right,
memes.
right,
It's not a
exactly.
work thing. Yeah.
Right. So like whereas the devs have this nice overlap, like, yeah, I'm on Twitter to hang out, but I'm also on Twitter because that's where like I find out about new packages and new stuff
Yeah.
that's released and when Taylor does something cool and like whatever. Like so I'm sort of there for work too. And so you can kind of leverage that pretty nice. There are some cool tools out there now. Like you ever seen Spark Toro?
I have heard about Spark Toro. Is that a Rand Fishkin thing?
Yeah, Rand
Yeah, that's the
Fishkin.
only reason
Like
I've heard about it. I've never used it.
yeah, I played with it a little bit, but I didn't feel like I had anything to do with it. But it is kind of interesting because it's like basically like they've crawled every social media profile and whatever. So you can try to be like, hey, who are all the like support engineers at
Hmm.
manufacturing companies and bring them up and then see what podcast they listen to people in that
Really?
group. So
So
then maybe
you use it to find where your avatar is hanging out, or you use it to
yes.
find your avatar, or like the people that are
Well, I think
actually.
both. You could find the people, but
Oh,
then it's also like it's doing the cross referencing of like, well, so all the people in this group, who do they follow? Okay, they
that is
all
interesting.
a high percentage of them follow this podcast and
Yeah.
mention this TV show in tweets or whatever. It's kind of like a big data thing. So it is kind of interesting. Like I've said, I think before, I'm kind of one of my goals this year is to be more marketing oriented, and so I do plan on giving it another look and seeing if there could be something interesting there to dig out of it. Yeah, again, it's still tricky because you're going to get obviously a lot of like, oh, they all listen to just take an example from our world, like they're all listen to the All In podcast. Well,
Yeah.
okay, that's great, but
Well,
like,
yeah. So to millions of other people, I
Right,
can't
like, that's
advertise. Yeah,
right, I don't even think they do it. I don't know if they even
they
do
don't.
advertising, but even if they do, it's gonna be very expensive, like, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
useful for small software companies. Okay, hot take from you, since you're
Here
the
we
AI
go.
guy. You got a little
Wow,
tangent
am
again.
I? Yeah.
You're the AI guy. What do you think about this idea? Because I saw a few posts about this recently, and I'm kind of really torn on it. The idea of, like, AI destroying SaaS, and
Mm,
especially, I think, smaller SaaS, but potentially even larger SaaS. Like, the idea, I guess I'm not even sure I totally get this, but I think the idea is that, like, you'll be able to just eventually say, like, "Hey, build me a help desk application for our help
right.
desk needs. Here's a list of bullet points," and it'll just be able to go out, build the whole thing in a reasonable UI, and then you just have it yourself, and you don't need to pay anybody to build it. I'm not really sure that's what people are buying when they buy it, but let's just say for argument's sake, that's the idea. I don't know. What do you think about the death of SaaS at the hands of AI?
Well, if you want a hot take, I think my hot take is that the people tweeting that are engagement baiters and should be
Okay.
muted. That's my hot take. I think that's
All right.
completely disingenuous
Yeah.
and only there to stir up controversy. To the
Hmm.
extent that there's any part of it that is true, um, I think I still think it's overrated, even
Yeah.
beyond being engagement bait. I don't think it's true. I think there maybe at the margin some of that is true. So I think the thing that is on the chopping block first is no code tools. I think
Right.
like that kind of stuff like Bubble and I don't know what all the other ones are, but those
Hmm.
platforms where it's like you can do no code, but turns out you're just like opening 50 different settings panels and like entering a bunch of
Right.
parameters anyway. I
Yeah.
think those are going to go away pretty quickly if they're not already pivoted to AI, because at that level of like, let me become an expert in something, you might as well just become an expert in being a prompt guy. Like
Right.
just
Right.
prompt the thing to make it for you instead of like what panel do I need to open in Bubble.
Right.
So I think that's going to go away for sure. I think there's some reality to like one-off tools, like single purpose tools could be prompted away. Like
Hmm.
you may see the death of like indie niche desktop apps and stuff like that, which has been dying for a long time anyway. But
Right.
I think those kinds of things go away. For a help desk or like a Laravel cloud or something like that, I I I it's just beyond me how you could prompt that into existence. And I know that
Seems
everybody's
tricky.
breathlessly saying it's possible. I just don't believe it. I
Right.
really don't. Like the act like you just I don't know, you have to describe it. You have to have a vision and taste and be able to describe that succinctly. And then you've got the execution risk of the AI like actually doing the thing, to say nothing of like
Right.
having the wherewithal to like be able to describe it all to somebody. And
Yeah.
then you're going to host it and then you're going to support it and then you're going to secure it. I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that camp, I think. I don't really buy, not in the way they mean it, of like all these individual companies will go out there and they will build their own apps via the AI, and then they will be responsible for the apps. Whether or not it even means like they host them literally, or like there's some AI platform that like hosts their apps they
Right.
generate, right? So like, yeah, they don't have to worry about the servers, but like, yeah, there's just so much subtleties in there. I do wonder if
So
there's like
much.
will be this more middle ground. Like I could conceptually see the idea of like a dedicated platform that has the concept of like customers and communication, and like has a certain level of base primitives that are pretty advanced and handle a lot of the subtleties, and then lets you put those things together with the prompts to be like, okay, like you can make a CRM out of this, you can make a help desk out of this, you can make an email marketing tool out of it, because they're kind of like have these core elements that are similar. But
Yeah.
then I don't know, there's still, yeah, there's just so many weird things when you get down into the details of these things. That is where it's like every help desk app is 85% exactly identical, but the
Right.
other 15% is like just worldview difference type stuff. So there's
Yes.
that. And then once you get into that, there's like just all these, whatever. There's a million if statements in there, right? And like
Yes.
subtle code about like,
Yes.
oh, when you hit this weirdo scenario, what are you gonna do? And like just the person who's like a manager in a company, are they gonna know even what to prompt or how to
No.
fix it or what the thing should be? Like there is still that part of it that feels like I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna get you where you want to
No,
be,
I
especially when these
don't.
things aren't that expensive anyway. Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing. Are you gonna spend like I don't think if you're talking internal, you don't have the like the rails to host it on, right? So you build this
right.
thing and then you go to IT and you're like, hey, I built a help desk app, and they're like, the F you did? Like, we're not hosting that. What are you talking
And
about?
so many companies don't even have IT, right? So like you're
Yes.
or moving away from that, or have IT only for like the really
Right.
core like
The
security
the
stuff, and they
IP
don't want to
phones and the
host
printers.
anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like, so yeah, so I'm still gonna pay some, right? So I can pay HelpSpot 3 grand a year, or I'm gonna end up paying this AI platform that lets me host the thing I prompted into existence. Presumably at least 3 grand a year, right? And I know
Yeah.
mostly tech people think much like I don't know if there's like, oh, the big savings is what's gonna drive like it's already kind of
No.
cheap, you know?
No,
Like I don't know.
I'm not an AI doomer, but
Yeah,
I think this makes me not an AI maxi because I don't think you can get there right now.
yeah.
I'm open to being wrong 2 years from now, but right now
Mm.
I feel pretty confident in that statement that you just can't get there right now.
No, 2 years isn't
Or
very long, to be fair.
no, it's not very long. And
So,
these things are
yeah,
moving fast enough that
yeah.
feels like a reasonable time frame. But like
Mm,
if maybe the other thing is if it is possible to build that sort of SaaS just by prompting, then
mm.
that leads me to believe that there is some other limiting reagent to successfully having a SaaS company. because
Right.
because like again, if it can do that, one, where are they? Where are all of
Right,
these tools? And
yeah.
if all of these tools do exist out there somewhere, well, that means there's some other limiting factor because I haven't heard about any of these runaway, AI successes except for the AI tools that are, helping
Right.
people build other stuff. All of those are a runaway success. But I don't know. Even if you get there, I still think there's more to SaaS than just code. And that's
Yeah.
maybe the hard part, which is like not comforting for a developer to believe, but maybe everything besides the code is hard. I don't know.
Yeah, and, like, also, I mean, the other way I think about this is, hasn't this sort of already been true for, like, 10 years? Where, like,
Mhm.
okay, I need a bunch of code to my spec. Like, it's been possible to just go hire a bunch of humans at a fairly reasonable rate, if you're in America and you want a cheap help desk app built. Like, that's been possible for a long time now to go spend 10 or $20,000 and have it built. And, like,
Right.
yeah, you're not gonna be able to do it with US devs, but okay, like, the world's connected. We know how to acquire cheap labor if that's, like, the main driving factor. So, I don't know, like, that's the other thing. It's like, the companies could be doing this, and some do, right? There are some companies that build their own solutions to different problems, but I don't know if this changes that dynamic that much of, like, you could already do this just with actual humans instead of AI, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's similar.
I don't know if it fundamentally changes it, but it is like 2 orders of magnitude cheaper, right? So,
Yeah,
if you're an 18-year-old kid, you can't spend $10,000 for an Upwork person to create a help desk for you, but you can spend $20 in a month
right.
to, prompt the heck out of it. So,
Mm,
I agree that it's still directionally the same, but when the cost changes by 2 orders of magnitude, then that in all industries, that opens up
right.
like, well, what can we do now? Like imagine if energy were
Mm,
free. Well, I would
right.
change a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it changes that part, but I agree. Maybe the value being in the code has been diminishing for the past decade or more.
And that's also more like
It
this,
used to be you could just throw crappy V1 up there and it was like
right?
it made news and you made a bunch of money. And those
Yeah.
days are over,
Yeah, those are
unfortunately.
way over. Well, that's even more getting at the startup end though, Like, I think from, like, big company perspective, it's like spending 20, $50,000 is, like,
True.
almost 0, right? Like, it's
True.
very close to 0. Whereas, like, yes, I'm an 18-year-old kid, I wanna build software. Yeah, I can't go hire
Yes,
a
good
bunch
point.
of, Ukrainians to do it, right, or whatever, but I can pay ChatGPT so I could get started in a way I couldn't before, even if I don't know how to code. Now, yes, the downside now is that it was already very crowded. It's gonna be way more crowded because anybody can do that, like,
Yeah.
first layer very easily and cheaply. Then again, you get back to, like, what are people actually buying and, like, maybe there's other differentiation besides just code. Um, but yeah. Okay, I get your take. We're
Engagement
on
bait.
record.
That's my take.
There
Yep.
you go. All right,
I think
I
it's
like
bait.
it. All right, let's do another sponsor here. Oh, this is a good one. Our friends over at Laravel Cloud sponsoring the show. The best way to ship and scale Laravel applications, cloud.laravel.com. Awesome stuff. And I've already started using it. It's really great, of course, as we all expect. And Stream scalable APIs for chat, video, voice, feeds, and moderation. Getstream.io. So thanks to them for sponsoring the show. Laravel Cloud. Like it.
Like it? You're using
Like
it?
Using it. Good
They
stuff.
did it. They pulled it off. Also, we've got a follow-up in the YouTube comments.
Uh-oh.
All that stuff we made up about databases and VPCs last week, we got it right. We got it right. We freaking nailed it. So, yeah, I don't remember what I said.
I was going to say, I don't know even what you're talking about, but I'm glad we got it right.
No idea. But y'all go back and listen with the with knowing Aaron got this exactly right. So, who knows what I said because I made it all up, but it feels good, man.
This was on the Laravel Cloud running their own MySQL servers.
Running their own MySQL, VPC peering, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So they're not just
Florian
on top
chimed
of
in and
else,
said, we got it right. Yeah.
Okay,
I think the big thing that I postulated on was that they're running it instead of running RDS. I think that was my big bet.
Not serverless.
Yeah.
MySQL or any of that stuff.
Yeah. So,
which is interesting though, because like why Postgres serverless, but then why MySQL spinning it up yourself?
Serverful. Yeah. I saw someone tweeted at me. I don't know if it is in the UI of Laravel Cloud or not, but I saw someone tweeted at me and said, "Hey, Aaron, what do you think about this?" And it was a screenshot of like, I can't find it right now. It was a screenshot of, I think Laravel Cloud UI, Postgres, serverless 17. Underneath it, it said powered by Neon. And so that is my understanding from the outside of why Postgres is able to be serverless and MySQL is not, because they're using a third-party provider that has a lot of those primitives already built up. And so there is no serverless MySQL offering that I am aware of, besides like the internal, whatever AWS pretends is serverless. But there's no third party that offers a serverless MySQL, at least to my knowledge.
Presumably they could have offered the AWS one.
Presumably, yeah. So why the cloud team chose to build their own versus use one of the AWS primitives is beyond me. Again, I don't work there. A lot of people think I work there. I don't work there. And my guess is, try hard is always up for acquisition. I just want to go on the record to say we are always for sale. If you're listening and you think, I wonder if yes, you could buy us 100%.
You know what you need? You and Steve need this. My brother and my cousin have a company, a consultancy.
Okay.
They have a standing rule where they have a number. And if they're ever offered this number, either one of them, they're just automatically allowed to accept. They don't even have to ask the other one.
Hell yeah.
You just take the deal on the spot. Don't even let any time pass. You don't want anybody changing their mind. You just take that. And it's not it's a nice number, but it's not like,
what's their number? Insane. They don't listen to the show. We don't know what they do.
Million. I think it's 8 figures.
I was gonna say 10 million.
Yeah, 8 figures.
I'll have to talk to Steve. With 10 million, I'm shaking the hand. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. So you should have.
I got ideas. I got tons of ideas. I got stuff I could do.
Yeah,
what do I need? What do I need more than $5 million right now for?
You're good.
Yeah,
you're good.
That seems awesome.
Like it.
So I think they didn't do serverless because of cost. That's my guess. Yeah, that's what I was gonna end with.
Also, they probably went with the third party. Makes some sense in terms of like, well, I mean, I don't know about the AWS first third party, but in terms of like not building your own in order to ship it, like you have something that you can have day one, a database, because you need some kind of database, obviously, and then obviously from there they can build on top of that. And it sounds like they got MySQL in under the wire when maybe they didn't expect to, so that all worked.
Yep. I still want to be on record as saying they're going to become a database company. I just want that. I don't know what Polymarket is, but I just want to be on record as having that bet on the books. So
we should get you on Polymarket.
I think it's illegal, isn't it? In the US?
Nothing's illegal anymore. Nothing with crypto is illegal.
That's right. There are no rules.
There's no rules.
It's the purge.
Is it illegal? I think there is some blocks. I don't know. I got around it with the VPN, it's no problem.
Allegedly.
Yeah. You could. Other people
one could, yes.
One could.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if saying allegedly after confessing makes a difference, but
Nah,
I'm working for you, Ian. I'm
it's
doing my best
fine.
here.
This is entertainment. This is like an opinion show. It's like how they called Hannity is news, right? Like it's news, but it's opinion. This is
It's
opinion. We
opinion.
could say
It
anything
is.
here.
It
It's
is
fine.
opinion. Also, we got some
First
good
Amendment.
feedback on the news last time. We got some people wrote in and said, like, here's some slow news, here's some investigative journalism. So thank you all for sending those links and emails. That was very thoughtful of you. Slow news. Big fan. Like the idea. All right, we got a couple more. We've got an HVAC update, or we've got a business topic. So where do you want to go next?
Let's take a little breather. Let's do the HVAC.
Let's do some HVAC. So not great. Not great.
This house, dude.
Wait, this house, dude.
Just to remind people, you had this house, let's just say in secret. You had like a whole secret house that we didn't even know about, that you were like working on behind the scenes for months and months and months and months and months.
Secret
and
house.
Then we found out about the house. Yep. And then you're moving into this new house and they're still working on it. And then you move in and then there's problems and they're fixing stuff. So this house, it feels like for the amount of work put into it, well, first of all, you could have just built a new house for sure. But second of all,
doubt that.
It's been a lot of work. It's still not where you want it to be. We had a whole thing with the HVAC. You were going to do the push and replace all the vents.
That was a good idea.
So where are we at with the HVAC now? Not working at all. Hot, cold, something else.
It's not great. So two things. One is I wrote a kind but firm email to the contractor and said, "Here's a list of the problems. I believe that you are a man of integrity and you have always held up your end of the bargain. I also believe that your subcontractors let you down in a terrible way, and we are not pleased with the quality of the work that has been done. And we would like to make this right and also go our separate ways. What do you propose?" So that's basically my email to him saying, give us a bunch of money and we'll never talk to you again. Because like I'm tired. Happening. Yeah, we'll see. I sent it, 4 days ago. Haven't heard a word. I'm tired of his guys coming back and fixing things, and then it's like, my brother, this is still broken. Like, what are we doing here? So we're moving on from him. We're just gonna bite the bullet. And
wait. So what was his choice? His choice was to give you money or fix it, or no? You're just asking for money.
That has been his choice many times so far, and so far he's always chosen fix it.
Of course.
And now I'm telling him I don't want you to fix it anymore because
just saying,
for example, you fixed the floors. You've come back and redone parts of the floors twice, and they are still bowed and cracked. Like, what are you doing? Like, what have you done? You're very bad at this. So, so I sent him that email and was like, let's move on. Let's like shake hands, go our separate ways. To do so, I need you to write me a check. We'll see.
That's never happening. I'll be very interested to hear this follow up.
We'll
Aaron in court. I'm very excited about Aaron in court. This is going to be great.
Do not cross me. Do not cross me. Just to my enemies. Do not cross me. So the HVAC. Had a few companies come out. One we've been working with on just random stuff. Really trust these people. Got the owner to come out, give it to me straight. He went down and he was like, "It's bad news, my friend." He was like, first of all, screwed. First of all, your return not properly sized, so you're not getting enough air to the actual units. That's bad. You're gonna burn them out. Okay. Yeah. Well, shoot, that sucks. Okay. Under the house, the ducting is all wrong. It's all wrong. It's broken. It's leaky. It's not wrapped.
This is all new, right?
No, not all of it.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
So this is a lot of this is stuff that they didn't touch, the contractors. The return, they moved the unit, so they should have routed returns better. Under, he's like, yeah, you're not getting enough airflow to the back room. And I'm like, I know, I have these vents I was thinking about, and I didn't tell him that.
He's like, dude.
He's like, oh, another homeowner. So gotta do that. Gotta add some returns. The laundry room has no airflow whatsoever in or out. And so
is that a problem?
We're getting a lot of like humidity back there. And so it's like it's not great. And then, other like, well, they chose these corrugated ducts and then didn't wrap them, and so you're losing 3 CFM. I'm like, I don't know what any. It's like underground in Texas, you need rigid ducts or the mice will eat through them to get warm. I'm like, that checks out. I've had that before actually. Right. So they were coming out. We signed. I hemmed and hawed, and then finally signed it. And was like, yeah, let's do it. So they're going to come out and redo all of that under there, and it's add a return, and it's just like,
oh my goodness,
it's just brutal. It's just every day I come home and there's a new bill on the counter, and this time I came home and there was a $15,000 bill on the counter.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good
so
one.
I'm just like,
and that's just for ducts and stuff. That's not even for any the air handlers or anything, or is that an air
no? They're gonna
handler?
fix it all. That's for everything.
Okay, for new air.
So that's for like routing a new return. That's for adding some flow to the laundry room so that it doesn't get all musty. That's for fixing all the ducts underneath, adding a new vent in our bedroom because we have one that doesn't push enough, and so it's just like balancing everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Your laundry room, what's the door situation?
Sliding pocket door
with like slats or solid door?
Solid door.
We have slats on ours and we've never had any trouble. It could be something to consider.
Yeah, the problem is
there.
The problem is like the kitchen and the mudroom are right next to each other. And when the washer and dryer are going, it's relatively loud, and the living room is right next to the kitchen, and so it's nice to just be able to shut all of that off. Also, babies wander back there, and we have many of those, and so keeping that fully shut is pretty important. So yeah.
Boy. Oh man! All right, so $15,000 HVAC bill. Those HVAC
houses.
Home ownership is so overrated. It's so overrated.
What a scam!
The only benefit is it's great, of course, having you are fully in control of your space. You do what you want in your backyard, ostensibly.
You can dig whatever you want under your house.
Whatever. You want to do a layer, you can do a layer, whatever, in theory. But everything else is terrible. Like you're definitely losing money. Terrible. Like no matter how much it appreciates, unless you happen to buy in Silicon Valley in 1960, like you are losing money on your house. So
yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
I got the point there.
The only like with this house, the only thing that I'm like, wow, we got super lucky is that I bought it before I got laid off. Because if I'd gotten laid off, and which I did, and then tried to buy a house, I would have had to go get a W-2 job. There's just no way around it, because you can't buy a house in their first year of being self-employed with no history.
Yeah,
it's like that's not going to work. So I feel very fortunate that I pulled that trigger when we did, even though it ended up sucking. I'm still glad we did it.
It's kind of weird that like I know a fair number of people who complain about this scenario where like they're self-employed and they can't get mortgages and stuff like that, and I've never ever had this problem. It's so weird to me. Like I don't know if it's a New York thing or something.
Did you not have that? Did you have the opportunity to experience the problem in the first like 1, 2, or 3 years? Because after that, I feel like it's you're fine. It's just like a regular job.
Yeah, we built. Yeah, like. Yes, in the first year we bought a house that was really expensive. Yeah, and
on self-employment earnings.
Yeah, Jamie wasn't working. All we had was the business income. I mean, the business was doing pretty well from the beginning, but it was, and we had less employees and stuff. But I mean, I've known people who are making more money than I make, and they're like, "Yeah, I can't like get a mortgage," and I'm like, "It's weird." Like I don't know, I've never hit that problem, but yes, it's still better, of course, to like be under the wire and you didn't have to worry about it. It jumped through weird hoops. So okay, so then what you want the money back from the other guy. How much money are you looking for? You don't have to give us exact, but like what percentage of his total is it like, and then what is that?
I'll take whatever you got. Whatever you got.
I don't know if I like the open-ended, to be honest with you. I feel like maybe there should have been like some constraints on this, but
nah, I didn't want to give him an anchor. You know, I didn't want to say
anything you're trying to fix with it. Like what's still broken?
Some of the HVAC is his fault.
Okay.
The wood floors are definitely his fault because he put those in. So that's like 100% his fault, and he knows it, which is why he's come back twice to fix it and still gotten it wrong. So like,
what kind of wood? What kind of wood do we have on these floors?
Brown. I don't know. What are you looking for?
You can't have the wood that like you want a wood that doesn't do a lot of expansion and contraction. So
that's a good note. I'll write that down because we're having a lot of problems with this wood. So maybe we picked Expando wood instead of normal wood. So wood floors is one. He's had to come back to fix the plumbing. It's still unclear if the drain pan is correctly installed or not. So just like a lot of stuff where I'm like, dude, I don't want to continue to deal with you.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you wrote me a check for any amount of money, I'd be like, great, see it. Because
Fine.
the truth is,
Yeah.
I'm going to not invite him back to fix anything. So
Right.
I'm paying for
He's done.
everything. He's done. I would love on the way out if he gave me a little, you know,
Little
gave me a little
refund.
5 spot and was like, here you go.
Yeah.
There's some money. So I'll take whatever you got, man.
You know, I wonder, this HVAC stuff could be also impacting your flooring situation. If it's not
It could
heating
be.
and cooling
It could
correctly,
be.
that's going to be, and you seem to have a
I know.
humidity situation in general, potentially, which is very bad for the floors. So that could all
What do you
be
think
part
I'm
of
on
it as
about,
well.
man? I'm just, everything sucks. It's all bad.
You gotta get the floor underneath the flooring. Did it have the grooves cut in it? You need the grooves.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I have no idea. It's kind of a stressful time in life, and I wasn't looking
We
at the
gotta
grooves
get
and
you
the
researching.
underlayment.
We
Yeah,
gotta get you researching here, man. You gotta do the research on these things. Yeah, because if you're gonna hit flat boards, they're gonna cut,
yeah.
like always. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll come down there. When you're ready, I'll come down. I'll be
I don't
your
know if I can handle
GC.
that kind of scrutiny. Oh, you're gonna GC the whole thing.
I'll
That's
GC
fine.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring your brother, bring your cousin. You can all come down, make it a family affair. That sounds great. I love that. Get a
Oh,
little New York
man.
muscle down here to
Yeah, you
push
be a New
around some
Yorker.
Southern contractors. I like that.
Yeah. We're not gonna let them screw you. But all
That's
of us have
right.
built houses, some of us multiple times. So if the three of us come down there, you got a lot of home construction experience.
Stuff's getting done.
Yes. We know
I
what's
like
up. We
that.
know what to look for.
I
We
like the
know-
narrative of, man, that guy Aaron, our neighbor, he brought down some muscle from New York to get this house done. Like, wow,
And it was perfect
that guy's
after
cool.
that. It was crazy.
Also
yeah.
heard he had a big tweet about Red Alert, so I'm
Right.
building the
I heard-
aura. You know, this
I heard
is
he's
good.
friends with Elon. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
this is really good. New York muscle is kind of awesome, so I'll
New York
think
muscle,
about that.
That's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. So I guess that's it. That's all you got for me. So when are they coming to do this?
Wednesday.
Okay.
Not great. Yeah.
Now you got a lot going on. I hate.
Got
when
a
there's
lot going on. I got too much going on always.
Yeah. So this is why you end up in the escapism of the open source work.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm
That's
telling you,
interesting.
this is like your little zone where it's like I'm not really responsible for anything in this zone. Like I'm just doing it. It's fun. It's interesting.
This may also explain why I want to dig a garage by hand.
It might explain that.
Escapism's an interesting idea, isn't it? I'll have to mull on that because you might be onto something there. Like,
so
what if I just dug for weeks? Like, you should
dude,
interrogate that, my friend. That might not be
set up
healthy.
the live cam. I want like 3 or 4 cameras that people can. You got to build a website for this where people can switch between the cameras, and you out there digging. You're just going.
I told some friends I had talked about digging, and they're like, "Didn't you kind of like do a project like this with the shed quarters, and it was fun for a little bit, and then you got super depressed and overwhelmed?" And I was like, "Yeah, but what if I did it again?
What if we took it and we made it way bigger?
What if we made it way riskier?
Yeah, right.
Way
What if my house
stupider?
could collapse as a result of it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. It'll be fun.
It sounds
for
like it's a
3
shithole
hours.
anyway. What's the difference? If it all collapses, who cares?
Yeah.
You get the
It'll
insurance.
be easier to fix
You're
stuff
good.
while I'm under there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
everything's fine. We're doing great. We're doing great.
Everything's good. You know, we were watching Survivor. We got into Survivor again.
No.
It's been good because like we've
It's
been
like
with my
46
daughter.
seasons, right?
Yeah, we just watched season 47, and
Oh my
we watched Survivor back in the
gosh.
day, and then we had like a 18-year gap where we haven't watched it, right? And we never watched any shows with the kids ever because they never watched shows. We watched Seinfeld a little bit. The oldest would watch Seinfeld, and the younger two would somewhat watch Seinfeld, but that was it. So now we're watching Survivor with my daughter, and it's been great. Like it's like this is what it's supposed to be like: people together having interactions, not everybody just in their iPads, like when they watch television, quote unquote. It's been great. So we watch all 47. It's hard to go back. It's a little weird to go back. So the new season's starting. We're watching that. And we did go back. We're going to watch like the best of the previous seasons. I can't go through 48 other seasons, but
Good Lord.
we're on David and Goliath for those following along out there. We're trying now David and Goliath. But that was a totally different editing style because like the new ones are much like quicker paced and it's like thing to thing, like for the kids, right? For the YouTubers who people watch
kids.
YouTube, right? So it's like this.
Sometimes
like
you
one's
sound
only
so old.
10 years old. I get like all my TV watching is YouTube, to be fair, but you know, people like the faster editing now. They get enough time. But 10 years, not even 10 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, whenever this was, it's so different. It's like sad in the beginning, and it's like slowly paced, and kind of hanging out with the people. Very different.
I
Not a
cannot
Survivor guy, though,
believe. No, not at all. I can't believe that it's been going for 47 seasons.
I know. It's crazy.
That we're
They do 2 a
still.
year.
I presume it's the same. It's the same setup, the same shtick, right? For
So
47 seasons.
yeah, 25 years or 24 years or something. And
Good
Jeff
Lord.
Probst, the same host. And I could totally see you doing this job. You should be game show host, dude. That is so
I
up your
would
alley.
crush as a game
would
show host. I would
crush.
love it.
You basically are Jeff Probst. Basically, like you could just drop. When he retires, we drop you in there, man.
Sign me
It'll
up.
be like,
We'll have to go back and scrub this episode and add a bunch of me talking about how awesome Survivor is. But sign me up.
Yes,
I would
yes.
kill as a game show host. It'd be so
you would
fun.
so kill, yeah. So anyway, so yes, it's all the same. Now they made a big change. Like I think for COVID, I didn't think I liked this change. So we only watched season 47. And a big change they made is it went to like 26 days. The survivors are out there.
Okay.
Before that, before COVID, they were like 39 days, which is a pretty substantial difference. Like 39 days is a pretty long time.
That's a long time.
So now it's 26 days. And I was kind of like, this is all wimpy now. 26 days, you're like done instantly, whatever. But I have to say, with it helps them edit. I can see why they did it because like this other 39-day one, I mean, the pacing is like crazy slow. My daughter was like, "This is like so slow." So we'll see. We're only in the first episode of David and Goliath, so I'll have to give an update. But so yeah, but otherwise, but essentially it's the same. Like there's some different game mechanics and stuff like that, but it's effectively the same. Yes. Pretty crazy,
man.
Long run.
Find a formula that works, I guess. You know,
just run with it.
Ride it all the way down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure it's a much like, way back in 2000 or whatever, it was a huge show, like millions and millions of people watching it. Like, now television's all changed, so I'm sure it has much less viewership than it had back then. But
what could it cost to make?
That's the thing. These things are so cheap. It's like, yeah, you have some production crew out there on island. Now they always do the same island, I think, too. So I think they just have like the same home base, so they just have everything there. Whereas like in the past, they would go between different locations and stuff. But now it's like, I'm sure they just have like a permanent housing set up for the crew. And
you film for 26 days, you edit for 2 or 3 months, and you do that twice a year, and that's it. That seems pretty easy.
Yeah, that's why Jamie's like, she wants a gig on there. Like just on I'm trying to get her to go on the show. But short of that, she's like, she got a job working on the construction crew and just like building the challenges and stuff. So.
Get some of that New York muscle down there.
Yeah, she's very strong and tough. Yeah, she's like little but tough and strong. So
yeah, I can't do Survivor. Can't do it.
I would love to see you on Survivor too. That'd be awesome.
I would maybe be good. I feel like I could strategize correctly.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I feel like I could do that.
You gotta do what you gotta do to get the followers. It's all coming full circle on this episode.
And you think going on Survivor's what I gotta
do? Oh, come on. You build up the following. I love this idea.
No. This is a terrible idea because I'm going to build up a following from Survivor and then come back and tweet about Postgres, and they're all going to be like, all right, well, we got to unfollow that guy.
Out there.
He was good on Survivor, but what the hell is he talking about? No, I can't do that. My current strategy, my current breakout strategy is to write a New York Times bestseller. So that feels a little bit more adjacent than going on Survivor. But maybe after that, I can go on Celebrity Survivor if the book goes well. Is that a thing?
Which order do I like these in? See, I don't know. See, you build up the Survivor following and you sell them a book, which is your book is not going to be code oriented. So
no.
Great. It's totally for the masses. Now you could reverse it, do the book, then you go on as an author, right? And then people are interested in finding out what your book is all about, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think I want to do that. Because if Survivor winner launches book is like, oh, is it about
you want the
just
other
experience on Survivor? Like, I don't like that. So no.
But the great thing about the topic of your book, which I don't think you totally revealed, but like the general vibe of it, I think would work really well on Survivor for you as a character on the show. I think you could be leaning into that vibe.
I could embody the book on the show. It's a shtick. You gotta have a shtick.
I love this idea. This is great.
All right,
this is one of the best ideas we've ever come up with.
The ads were good, but this is better. I like this.
This is better. You on Survivor,
we'll do it that
Amazing Race, whatever, all the shows. We get you on reality TV.
God, I'd be so good on reality TV.
I know.
I've watched so much Seinfeld. I could keep the dialogue going. I could do a little bit. I would crush on
I
reality
love it.
TV. Okay,
All
well,
right, last topic.
last
Got one
topic.
more.
Here's the deal.
Mm,
I have found it
mm,
very difficult recently to balance the like talk about the thing, do the thing. And
mm,
one of the realities of parts of our business, this is changing slightly, but one of the realities of parts of our business is I am both the producer and the marketer. And
mhm,
so like I do the thing that we sell, but I also have to be the one that talks about the thing that we sell.
mhm,
And so I found it very difficult to strike the correct balance on that. I feel
mm,
like I overdo one and then feel like stress pressure about the other, and then
mhm.
kind of pendulum back and forth. And that's an interesting thing. I feel maybe perhaps I feel that I oscillate, or more violently I vacillate
Mm,
between
mm,
two things. That's good, right? That's pretty good.
yeah, I like those are the
um
big words.
yeah, I vacillate between two things, whether that's building and marketing, or project A and project B, or I want to be public, I want to be private. Like I vacillate between two
Right.
extremes. That's interesting. Much to consider there. But the inciting incident is more like kind of like working on the open source quietly versus live streaming, where I get less done, but it's more like marketing and brandy and people see a lot of motion. Or working on like producing a new course versus making YouTube videos that are relevant to an old course. And so
Mm,
all of these things just kind of swirling of like, there's a lot to do. I'm responsible for a lot of it. And I say that is changing because screencasting will be more heavily Steve weighted
right.
in the
Mhm.
future, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like I'm sure that you have felt the many competing needs of running a business, but I am certainly in that zone where it's like, oh, we're running a successful business, and there are too many things to be done. And of the things that I am responsible for, I have trouble balancing all of them.
I think for you, it's definitely different than me. I think this is part of the difference of like software versus like content type
Mm-hmm.
things is that like the payoff is just longer in the SaaS, right? Like if you can
Yes.
get up to on the hill, then it's like, hey, you could not market for years. Not that you shouldn't market for years, but you could not market for
But you
years,
could.
and you're pretty much going to be okay as long as you're like running the service and
Mm-hmm.
customers are happy and that kind of thing. And so I'm in the same boat as you in that I want to get better at this. So one of the ways I've been thinking about it, and I think for you, you almost you like have to do this, is like it's like Sanderson. I feel like you need to be
Our
working on
favorite
these
guy.
things every week. Like Sanderson does it with like he has a daily writing quota
Uh-huh.
and he hits that quota every day.
Uh-huh.
And for you, it might be like, I'm gonna do one marketing YouTube video a week, no matter what. And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
do 8 hours on new content production a week, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still have 24 hours a week to do other stuff, right? Like
Right.
streams and whatever. But like this way, you just always have that little bit of forward. At the very least, you have a little bit of forward motion, right? So that you don't,
Mm-hmm.
because you do like to throw yourself into things,
I
but
do.
then obviously that like then that saps the energy kind of, and you come back and it's hard to do the
Yep.
other things. So that's
So
from the outside looking
pause
in.
there.
That's kind of a thing.
Pause there for 1 second, because
Mm,
that note, you like to throw yourself into things. That is very true. And
yeah,
I find that to be very profitable for the thing that I have thrown myself into.
that gets the attention right at that
Yes,
time.
that is the
Yes,
thing where like I can go it's almost it's not a medical manic, but I can go
right,
manic on a
right.
thing and be like, I am going to figure this out.
Yeah,
And that has led to a lot of great things for me.
yep,
But then you come out of it and you're like, F, I have
right,
neglected a bunch of this stuff that I have to now like feel guilty about and go back
right.
and like fix. And so
Hmm.
yes, I agree with that. The Sanderson thing.
Mm.
You got me on a Sanderson thing.
He's so good.
And somebody, I want to say his name correctly. Somebody sent me a Connor. What's your last name? Connor. What's your last name? Lindsay sent me a YouTube video of Sanderson giving a lecture he's got like a lecture series at some
Oh yeah,
school
he
where he talks
teaches a
about writing.
class. Yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good. The whole
It's
thing
so
is
good.
great.
I listened to the first one so far.
So
Amazing,
good. Hmm.
wonderful. And I'm so glad you turned me on to Sanderson, because he thinks
He's
like
so good.
I feel like we think the same way.
Yeah.
Like, he's talking about how hard it is to do it, but you just have to like set your schedule and do it, and then after you've done the hard thing, you can do literally whatever you want. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
I totally buy that. That makes a ton of sense to me. And so I think modeling it maybe more after him is modeling my work life more after him is correct, because I do believe that like what I am doing is a very creative act, and so I
Mhm.
find I take a lot of inspiration from creatives more than like
Right.
more
Other
than like
coders or
yeah, other coders, or like business, just general business advice.
Mhm.
And so I like the idea of being a little bit more rigid about it. I think I've been a little precious with like, no, we have to let the madness flow. And
Right.
like some part of that is true, but some part of it needs like guardrails. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out where I can draw those guardrails without like losing the magic of the mania, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love Sanderson's whole thing there, and I'm trying to make it work for me too. I haven't found like the right metric, I guess, but like it's just words a day. It's like he's like, this is what I do. I want to be creative, and I want to produce these stories, and I have a lot of things I want to do in my career, and I know the only way I'm going to actually do them is to like sit down and do them, and so I have this metric, right?
Speaking
That's
to my
like
soul.
I can judge myself against and know, and then after I've accomplished my daily goal, I can go. It might be play video games. It might be write 4 other books because that's what I was
Right.
inspired to do in the
Hmm.
extra time, right? It's like that's with the you aspect, right? Yeah, in the extra time, you go do an open source terminal app or whatever, right? Like, great, that's fine. But the core part is on some type of structured
Right.
rails so that you're producing the stuff you want to produce and do, and then but still with the time to be out there, because otherwise you also put yourself in hard spots. Like when you had your post at the start of the year, that you're like you're going to do 100 YouTube videos. I was like, I don't like that for you. That's a lot of pressure. Like
There's
100
a lot of
YouTube videos is
pressure.
a tremendous number of videos. That's like
It
one every
sure
3 days
is.
all year long.
Hmm.
So that's like an unrealistic goal. But if it's like, hey, I'm going to work 8 hours a week on YouTube videos as marketing, like you could totally do that. And like whatever number comes out the end of that, maybe sometimes it's 2 a week, maybe sometimes it's 1 in 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter. Like
Hmm.
it's just that every month you are progressing right towards the goals. So kind of like that.
That's an interesting way to divvy it up. The things that like need to be done that I don't want to do need to go on the schedule.
Right.
Like
Yeah, just on the calendar, literally on the
yeah,
calendar.
the things that are like make a YouTube video about some basic Postgres thing, some basic SQLite thing.
Right.
I'm uninspired by that. Like I don't
Right.
sit down and think, ooh, I should do a video about how
Yeah.
gen indexes work. It's like I don't really care. Like,
Yeah.
but that would be good. That would sell
Right.
Postgres courses, and then that would put food on our families. And so that needs to go on a schedule. And I've always known rather input goals are better than output goals. Like input goal being spend 8 hours, output goal being produce 100 videos. And so I
Right.
think that is probably, I've known that. I've not always like internalized that.
Yeah, it's definitely not my specialty either. And like maybe even like literally on the calendar. Like I've definitely known people who have a lot of success with that. I've been trying it in a few spots and it's been okay. But yeah, like then you just know it's like, hey, it's Tuesday. Tuesday is YouTube
Right.
video day, right? Like, and like you don't have to think about the other stuff. It's like it's just automatic. But it's a little different than the Sanderson way, but that same general idea of like some structure to the inputs. But yeah, I like the way I haven't ever thought about it that way. But that's interesting. Yeah, input goals versus output goals.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's interesting. I don't know that I have always viewed my work as like a creative act. And I don't know that it always has been, to be fair. I mean, there was a time where I was a marketing data analyst and it was like, boy, this is not a creative act.
Yeah.
But I think in the recent years, it has become more of like a creative act. And with that comes the stuff that like plagues all creatives, which is the blank page. Like, it's just like, what am I going to create here? This is really daunting. And that needs to be addressed head on, probably. So
Plus, some of that
yeah,
stuff I could imagine you systemizing, and like then maybe other people can do it, parts of it.
yeah. Hmm.
Like if you really get a cadence with the YouTube videos, like maybe there's just somebody else who does some of those like gin index explainers, or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
potentially, once you get like really dialed in on like the format, and like we talked about this before, but like the Mr. Beast, like you just have Aaron's rules of YouTube video creation, right? And
right.
this is how we do it, and this is the formula, and it obviously has to be tweaked over time, but probably would make it easier to fold in other people, potentially at least. It's hard
And that
because
is
you are the
also
face of it, but
right. And that's
you know,
also what I'm trying to. Steve and I both are. I think Steve probably knows and is trying to convince me, and I'm trying to come by it like from first principles, like an idiot.
right.
But I'm trying to figure out like where is the value in what I do,
Mm,
right? So because if I can figure out where the value is, I know where the stuff that doesn't matter is, and I can have other people do that.
right.
I have long been of the idea that a lot of the value in what I do is the behind the scenes, like research, learning, discovery, all of
Mhm.
that. And then the value is in communicating that to the public. And there's an argument to be made that the value is just in communicating that to the public. So,
Right,
like,
right.
maybe I'm not responsible for learning everything about the internals of Postgres and then compressing it into something that is like meaningful. Maybe someone else
Yeah,
does that and I just deliver it. That
yeah,
feels weird to me. And so I'm
right.
trying to figure out like where in this whole chain of things that we do as a company, where do I add value and where's my labor undifferentiated heavy lifting,
I could also see something if you wanted to like play with how you're more naturally inclined. Another route to this might be like, all right, let's say you were going to do 8 hours a week, but instead of the it being 8 hours every week, you do these chunks, and it's like how you built the courses, but for like the marketing videos. Hey, I'm going to spend a
Oh,
month or 3 weeks
just have
doing
like a manic
as
episode, but
many
on,
marketing videos
yeah,
as I could do, right? And now you have in the can 20 marketing videos, and you just drip them out. And then 6 months later, okay, this is marketing month where I go
mm,
manic on marketing angles and videos and research and making the videos. And then you put that aside for another 6 months or whatever the cadence needs to be, 3 months, 6 months, whatever.
that is interesting.
Could
Yeah,
be another way to approach it. Like you still could math it out, right? And do like, what are the hour? I want to do 8 hours a week, but if I just do it all in 2 big chunks or
right.
3 big chunks, right? Okay, I'm going to spend this many weeks just working on that. Just get totally in the zone, do it, be done with it, move on to other stuff, do it again.
I
That could
like
work.
that. I do like that. Yeah, I need to think about this because
Yeah,
I do like, getting super deep into something.
no,
And that's hard to do if you're like, oh, I'm going to do it 8 hours a week.
right,
But I don't think the marketing videos require the super
right.
deep, like get inside the machine that like solo has required. So,
Yeah,
um, maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but I do need to come up
yeah.
with some sort of structure that will um, not hamper my output, but boost it. So
Well,
trying
the
to find
marketing
that.
videos, unlike Elon tweets, at the end of the
Mm,
day, YouTube database videos are the thing that's going to bring you closer to a SaaS like business where there is
correct.
regular income
Yep.
consistently, and that the floor is high enough that like
Right.
you don't have so much pressure to make new videos and big launches and all that stuff, right? So like one way or the other, you need the floor to be reasonable amount of money so that there's just not the
Right.
constant launch pressure. And I mean, there's probably other ways to this too, but the marketing videos seem like the most direct connection, I think.
Oh, they definitely are. Yeah.
So that would make sense, obviously, to just get consistent with whether it's who cares how you produce them, whichever way ends up working best
Right.
for that. But for them to be released consistently seems like the play to help SaaSify the revenue stream a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's easy. That's the easiest lever to pull for sure. I
Right.
think if we make YouTube videos, money comes out the other side. So it seems
Yeah.
relatively obvious to me.
What about like I don't know. Wes seems to have like doesn't he have like a show or something too? Like or does he just do
West
he has
Boss,
syntax? Yeah, West
he's got
Boss.
syntax. Yeah.
I guess it's just syntax. I didn't know if he did other stuff though, and he does videos.
I don't know
obviously.
his financial arrangement. I know Syntax, I think, was purchased by Century,
Yeah, so I guess he's just getting
but I
paid
don't.
for that.
I guess he's
If somebody
maybe a
wants to
Century
purchase
employee.
us, we'll
Oh,
work
for
for you.
sale. Yeah. 100% for
We
sale.
already have an agreement. If the right
We
deal
have
comes
an agreement.
along,
Yeah. Whatever
just
it is,
accept
we'll
it.
take
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
If Century wants to buy
Yeah.
us and get
Please.
in the Laravel circle, come on, Century. We're up for
Century,
it.
Cloudflare,
Oh,
whoever wants to buy
Cloudflare.
Fly.io. If you want to buy a podcast, we're for sale.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Whatever you got.
Oh yeah. But yes, okay. So yeah, I don't know.
Much to consider. It's a tale as old as time, but it is now at my doorstep, and I'm trying to figure it out, you know?
Yeah, you got to let the people know you're out there. That's the thing. That's the eternal
That's
battle.
how they get you. That is how
How
they
do
get
they
you.
know about
Fortunately, I do think marketing and making a spectacle comes easy to me and comes naturally to me.
Mm.
But it's the whole like, I want to be in a cave for 3 weeks working on stuff. And then I pop up and I'm like, let's do marketing. It's easy. It's fun.
Right.
But it needs to be more consistent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you got some angles here to maybe look at. I think it's possible. I think you're going to do it. It's going to happen.
I think so.
No.
I am continually growing as a both a business owner and a person, and we're getting closer to, I think, what is optimal. So
Well,
we'll
these things are super hard. I definitely find that like all these type of like businessy, just kind of have to grind them out a little bit. Things are just so incredibly hard when you have the other real life stuff going on. Like that is the stuff that just gets ejected because it's just like, oh, the HVAC's still broken. It's broken again. I'm sending threatening emails. Like these are now, like that is taking up your like grind it out,
Our
just
au pair
get
is
through
going
it.
back to Germany. We're finding a nanny. It's like, what?
Yes.
It's all happening.
All that stuff eats up the grinded out energy. So you don't really have the grinded out energy. And so you can still come up with the exciting, fun stuff.
So you just get ground down.
Yes. And you can do like, hey, I'll go work on this open source thing that I'm literally making it. Why not a terminal app, right? It's fun. I'm interested in it, right? And that you can build the energy for. But the building the energy for like, okay, like do these 10 marketing videos, like that energy is already being used.
That is
all this other stuff.
Fantastic point. Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic distinction.
And I don't really have like great advice on how to. I feel like some of it just has to like work through.
Should have just rented a house. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, you have 4 kids. Stuff's gonna come up. You got a house. Stuff's gonna come up. Like, and you're just gonna go through those waves a little bit. Health stuff comes up. Whatever. Like I felt like this a lot in the last year with like the health stuff. Like like by the time you like get through going to the doctor and doing whatever, you're like, I don't have like a ton of energy for the grinded out parts. Yeah, I don't know. But it's trickier because you're kind of at the beginning here, so it's a little riskier.
Telling me,
for you.
I'm at the beginning of all of it. Yeah.
Right? So that is where I do like the idea. The Sanderson approach of accountability might be if you can make
to
your
thyself
brain work that way.
Right,
to yourself. Yeah, he doesn't publish. He doesn't. I mean, you know what he's doing because he does say. I think he has said the number, but it's like it's not like every day he's publishing. Although he does do this thing. Have you watched any of his daily or weekly updates?
No.
Might be worth watching some of his weekly updates. He does this like 2 to 7 minute little videos once a week. And this is his public accountability, which is sort of interesting because he does this whole thing. He's like, bing, and he does this little graphic come up. That's like whatever projects he's working on, he gives the percentage complete.
Cool.
And so since he knows how many words it takes to write the book, and he has a target number, it's not like precise, totally, but he knows it's going to be 400,000 words, and he knows he writes 2,500 words a day. So he knows when it's going to be about done. So he says, okay, I'm at 200,000 words. So that's 50% done. And he gives this little update. And it's like the number is always going up. And I mean, he's sort of a machine, totally insane. So I don't know. I don't know if it's totally realistic, but he does have this little public accountability aspect too. Which could I see an Aaron Francis monthly update? I could see something like that. Like
you bet you
something
could.
like that where you do like a little 10-minute video that's like,
okay,
like did like marketing did this on production of the new course where like 25% on that, and like I don't know, I could see something like that, like not like where you're trying to do that everyday thing, like that'd be too much, but the once a month or some whatever cadence makes sense.
And that would help structure things.
It might be adding to the structure.
Anchor.
A little bit. It's like, oh, I know I want to get some percentage even on a slow month. It's like, hey, if I can get a little bit chipped away so I can report it's 27% instead of 22%. Like, great, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Not everything maps from his world to our world exactly, but there's something there too. Yeah, I
But
would watch a few of those. It's pretty cool.
It's close enough. It's
Yeah, because it
directionally
kind of
correct.
gives his empire update, which since you have your empire of the different worlds, he
Just
has like
want
that
an
same thing. It's like,
empire.
here's the books we're selling, what's going on with them. Here's the percentage of the new projects, what's going on with them. Oh, we got this conference. Here's what's up with that. So he just has this little 5-minute video of like what's going on in the Sanderson empire. It's pretty cool.
I like it. Okay, I like it. I'll
There we
watch some of
go.
those. I'll come up with a structure and we'll report back.
Cool. There we go. Getting good stuff done on the pod today.
The Sanderson pod. Great pod. You know,
I'm going to get you
You
on Sanderson
learn-
fully,
you
and we're going to do a
learn
Sanderson
things.
pod. I love it.
you
We
learn
just did a
things on
Sanderson
mostly
pod.
technical. It's crazy.
Yes. Oh, he's so good. He's such an inspiration as like on the business end. It's crazy. And
Yes.
I like the books, so it's a win-win. All right, man. I think that was a good up. We're good.
All right.
People,
Read us
you got
out
your
somehow.
money's worth. All right. If you want to find the old episodes, if you want to sponsor the show, get your ad read, mostlytechnical.com has everything you need. Go check it out. mostlytechnical.com, old episodes, sponsor information, contact us information, all that stuff. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
See ya.